I do want to say all life is precious, and it is a tragedy to see anyone get killed, and especially when you think of the 12-year-old girl, Jocelyn Lungari, when she was killed. Could you imagine what her mother lives for the rest of her life? Laken Riley, Rachel Warren, we can go on. But not only them, all the drugs that we're pouring into this country, killing 100,000 people a year. That's unbelievable. How about all the trafficking of children and human trafficking? This is just wrong. So I feel bad for every life that is lost. But not only that, we have to recognize that ICE is not the problem. And if people don't, you're laughing. That's really sad to me. Because the problem is this, you just chose to laugh. I did not laugh while you spoke. But the problem is this, that there are people demonizing them when they're doing their job trying to be safe. When you go out and protest in that manner, peaceful protesting is one thing, disruption is another thing. But really this stems from a big problem. Law enforcement should work together, and when local police are told they cannot work with ICE, think of this. If they arrested someone locally here in Aldridge and we had them in our police station, then you can call the federal agents and they could come and get them. Everyone's safe. Even that family of that person who was in jail is safe. No one has to go to their house. No one has to look at them. The agents aren't, their lives aren't put in risk, and our police department is not put in risk. But they're told they cannot work together. That is the most insane thing. That is like telling the Army they can't work with the Marines, and they can't work with the Navy or the Air Force. That is where all this is breaking down. And to demonize people, the reason why they have masks on, because they've been doxxed. Their families are at risk. So it's all right for people that are protesting that they aren't peaceful. I've watched them. They aren't peaceful. And they can wear a mask, but people that that are just doing their job, working for the federal government. Could you imagine if our police department was doing an investigation and we went there and we tell them, don't do that, don't do that? So there are ways to do things, but there are really sensible ways. And when you're calling also, when you mentioned today's the Holocaust remembrance, when you're calling these people Nazis, that just shows ignorance to me. That is despicable. It is heart-rending to me, knowing what went on in World War II with all the people that were slaughtered there. These people have a choice to go home to their countries of origin. When they Jewish people, they weren't allowed even to leave the country. They took their businesses, they took their homes, and then they slaughtered them, okay? So it has no comparison with the Holocaust, and when you use that word and call these people Nazis and fascists, it just shows your ignorance. So please stop. Even as far as elected officials to say that. Do you think that is an intelligent way to deal with a problem that's affecting everybody? So it affects everyone, and just as it's been explained, financially, how it affects everybody. So no one's talking about in Minnesota, the fraud that's gone on there, billions and billions of dollars, saying for falsehoods going on. When you put a population of illegal, it also affects illegal votings. And if you think that's not happening, then you're foolish. I believe in law and order and civil law and order. There has to be a respect for everybody. And I do not like anyone getting hurt. I don't like anyone putting themselves in harm's way. And unfortunately, this has happened and it's got to stop. But you can't go around calling people that are doing their job, that work for the federal government, the state, or local government, Nazis when they're doing their job protecting communities. And that is what I have to say about that. And it's unfortunate I didn't even think I'd have to bring it up. But you have to look at everything as a whole.